What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Impact Defense Podcast. In this episode, we are actually joined again by Jentry. Hello.
Hello.
All right, and we're going to talk about ways to keep your vehicle from being stolen.
Theft prevention. Vehicle theft prevention.
I know.
I'm just saying again. So, in case you missed that, vehicle theft prevention. Keeping your vehicle from being stolen.
I was just trying to reword it a little bit. I could read their notes on the paper. All right, what is our flavor of the week for our blackout coffee?
This week it is blueberry crumble.
Blueberry
I'm gonna be
crumble.
honest, I am not a big fan of blueberry flavored things.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of already expecting not to like this flavor, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still coffee, and coffee is still good. I'm just not big on blueberry, so
Yeah.
this one's not my personal favorite.
I like it. I was worried about it, much like I was worried about the chocolate cherry. And I was kind of a little worried about it too, but honestly, I really like it too. What do you think, Jentry?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It's sorry,
Right.
Jada, didn't mean to.
Pretty good. I still like the chocolate cherry the best.
Yeah.
This one kind of makes me think of like eating a blueberry muffin at the same time you're drinking coffee.
So it's like
Okay.
a combination and saves you calories.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's it. Jada says, I don't need the calorie savings.
But so far, I've not found any of their flavors of coffee that are bad. They're all
No,
good.
that's the
They're
truth.
very good. So
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, we're going to be honest on these things. So yeah, I really like it. Not as good as chocolate covered cherry or chocolate cherry. That one's probably my favorite flavor of coffee. So that we've tried so far.
Right.
But as always, we've got more coming in. So
Ooh. Do you want to tell us any of the flavors coming in, or are we waiting to announce those another time?
we'll announce those another time.
Okay.
Primarily because I was like, ooh, sale. And I just bought a bunch.
That works. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you want to take advantage of a sale, go over to Impact Defense. No. Shoot.
impactgear.live/coffee.
That's right. Thank you, Jada. Okay, and then use the coupon code Impact Defense unless they have another sale that's going on. If they have an awesome sale that's going on, use the coupon code, whatever they have on their website. As long as you go to impactgear.live/coffee, then they're going to know that we sent you to them.
I think it's time for the news story.
I think you're right.
All right, so this one comes from London, England. Now, this is a personal story, so I'm going to just, read it out. This is more of a close call kind of thing. Like, this was almost really bad, but not really bad. Not great, but not really bad. Definitely not as bad as it could have been. I'm going to move on.
Wow, what an intro.
I'm just going with the theme of redundancy
Not
for
good,
this
but
episode.
really bad, but almost not really bad. Almost kind of really, kind of really
Exactly.
bad, not really bad.
Exactly that.
Hey,
Could have been
look,
really bad.
the redundancy has already been amazing in this episode. Might as well keep it going.
Okay.
So, a few years ago, I went to London, England to attend college. During that time, I stayed there. Or during this time that I stayed there, I had made friends, gotten a job as a bartender, and, the works. Just a typical college student. One day, one of my coworkers and dear friend, Gina, decides to have a few people at her place after work. Her house was within walking distance of the bar we worked in, so we all decided to make a night out of it. At around 2 a.m. or so, I thought it was about time to go home, and let me make it clear that I was not drunk. I was, however, exhausted since I had been working a 12-hour shift. Nothing good happens at 2 a.m. after a 12-hour shift.
That is true.
I called the cab company that I normally call and requested a cab to pick me up at the bar and drive me back to my dorm. No problem. They'll be here in about 5 to 10 minutes. I walk to the bar and wait in front for the cab to show up. The cab pulls up in front of me and calls over, "You waiting for the cab?" "Yes, thank you," and I hop in. My dorm is maybe 5 to 7 minutes drive away. No big deal. Would only cost me around £5 to get back the whole way home. Though this cab driver is putting his hands all over me. I usually joke around with cab drivers to avoid an awkward drive. And it's always harmless, but as I laughed and lifted my hands, he would like try to hold my hand every so often. He would try to put his hand on my thigh, in which case I would remove it and move slightly more towards the door. At that moment, I get a phone call. Hello, hi, this is Tony. I'm here to pick you up.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Around that time, there seemed to be, what it looked like at least, a big issue with unmarked cabs picking up young women, raping them, and then leaving them. There were commercials about it. There were ads about it at bus stops. Needless to say, it was definitely something to be looked out for. So when I got that phone call, my heart dropped. I've already been picked up. I looked at the driver, and the whole time the driver is asking me to give me the phone. Let me talk to him. Give me the phone. Let me talk to him. Give me the phone. Let me talk to him. Give me the phone. Let me talk to him. Luckily, the real cab driver on the phone was very kind and told me to listen to him carefully. If he takes you anywhere, call me. I have his number now. I have his number now. What he was an unmarked cab. Recently, I guess some people were able to obtain fake marks for their cab or something like that. Bear with me, this was quite a while ago, to make it appear like it was actually a marked cab. Either way, this guy was an unmarked cab, and he had just stolen someone's cab fare. I ended up being dropped off at my dorm. The driver asked me how much do they usually charge. I said £2, and he drove away without so much as a goodbye. Never heard from him again. But that, like I said,
I feel bad for joking around about that.
Yeah, I told you it was almost really bad.
Yeah, as soon as you said he asked if they were waiting for the cab, I knew where it was going as soon as you said it, because I was like,
yes,
yeah, there's something about the way that was worded that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway. I can't imagine, like how gut-wrenching that phone call had to have been.
I know.
I mean, thank God for the guy who just stayed on the phone with her. It's like, if he takes you anywhere, tell me, let me come pick you up, And it does make me think a little bit, what if it wasn't actually just an unmarked cab, and that phone call may have saved her? Because
yeah, that's true.
Because just with the unnecessary, physical contact, it's really suspicious.
Yeah. That's right. I bet the phone call did save her, honestly. I would imagine. It's
just a little bit too sketchy for me. And you guys can call us paranoid if you want to. I don't care. But really think about that. But there was somebody on the phone with her, and it seemed like that cab company already kind of knew where she lived, because she said it was the regular cab company that she called. So that probably also helped.
Yeah, true. Yep, that's not the topic of this podcast. This podcast is talking about ways to keep your vehicle from being stolen, or vehicle theft prevention, or can we think of another way to reiterate that since we have...
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Shockingly enough...
How to keep the jerks from stealing your car.
Yeah. Shockingly enough, criminals look for easy targets when they're looking for vehicles to steal.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my
amazing.
goodness. That is mind-blowing.
I know.
I'm amazed.
I know. It's not like, criminals look for easy targets with basically everything else that they are trying to do, because it is just human nature.
To be lazy.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's just, if we have said it many, many times. We say it every time we teach a women's self-defense seminar or something like that. So if there's $1,000 in a glass jar, or $1,000 in a safe that's bolted to the floor, which one are you going to steal? Everybody says the glass jar. Okay. So
I'm kind of surprised nobody said both at this point, but
yeah, but I mean,
but yes.
So criminals don't want to get caught more than anything else in this world. They don't want to get caught.
Do I have a crowbar?
Yeah, but even then, crowbar is not necessarily going to get you into a good safe.
No, but Mike can get it off the floor.
All right, let's try not to give people answers the next time we do one of these things.
And don't be a jerk. Just, take it at face value and answer the simplest version of the question.
But they want to be quick and quick and quiet, and don't want to get caught. I mean, that's kind of the main thing. Criminal, more than anything else, criminal doesn't want to get caught. So, what can we do to make sure that our vehicle is set up in such a way that's going to make it a harder target?
Lock the doors.
Yeah. That's kind of number one. If you go out somewhere and leave your doors unlocked, you're asking for problems.
Don't leave your keys in it.
Yes. I know somebody, we pulled up to Walmart, and they left their vehicle unlocked and left their keys in the cup holder of their vehicle. And that is no joke.
First of all, I would have just locked myself out of the vehicle. I mean, even if I meant to leave it unlocked with my keys in it, there's no way it would have stayed unlocked.
All the time. This was, and now, this has been several years ago.
Okay.
This would have been late 90s, early 2000s.
So a car that might not have
like,
tried to protect you and locked your doors itself for you, like, oh, she forgot to lock the doors. Let's lock them for her.
Yeah, true.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Back in the period of time that
Yes.
you and I can remember.
Yes.
So, but anyway, it was, I rode with them to Walmart. I will not call their name out. I rode with them to Walmart, and we got out of the vehicle, and they dropped their keys in their cup holder and shut their door. And I never, ever, ever in my life have I been one to get out and not lock the door. Mm-hmm. And I got out and locked the door. So, oh, no, don't do that. I said, why? So I don't lock my doors, just in case something's messed up with this one. I was like, I got out of the vehicle. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, you're crazy. That is stupid. Mm-hmm. But it happens. And I didn't even think about that. When I first made this, our show notes, never even thought about it. Mm-hmm. So that's not even on the notes.
I was watching one of those YouTube shorts or something. It just popped up on my feed whenever I went to look something up on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And, you always end up watching at least, the first one in the thread because it pops up and it's 3 seconds. Well, I've got 3 seconds to watch the first one. Yikes.
3 hours later.
Yeah, sometimes.
Anyway, but it was somebody with an old beat up crap truck, I think it's every redneck from the South's favorite thing to watch on YouTube is...
We are rednecks from the South, so therefore we can say these things. Go ahead.
Yes. Very true. Brian is against being called a redneck. We are not.
Nope.
Hey, look, that just means we can solve a lot of problems with duct tape. A lot.
Well, I know plenty of people that can solve lots of problems with duct tape, but they don't necessarily make them be considered a redneck.
There are several qualifications. Anyway, moving on. So, this particular one had bought a $500 truck, and he was stepping in and he goes, all these people on the internet talking about their fancy cars that start with a switch. He goes, well, check this out. He goes, $500. You can have one like mine. And then he steps in and there is legitimately a light switch attached to the side panel of his door, and he steps into the car, smacks a wire and then flicks the switch and the truck starts.
Yeah,
that would be hard. That one would be hard to steal if you didn't know the way
the wire first.
Yeah, smack the wire first. You just flipping.
Yep, that's.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea if the swacking the wire actually did anything. It could have just been for dramatic effect in the video.
That is right. That right there is why I would not want to be called a redneck.
I think it's hilarious.
I didn't say it wasn't funny, but it's idiotic.
Except for the fact that had millions and millions of views.
That's great.
So they
That's
were probably
cool. He's
making bank on that video.
He's an internet comedian. Is this the bald-headed guy with the red beard or whatever?
I don't know. I don't actually follow basically anyone on YouTube, so I just watch
but
whatever.
I've been sent this guy's videos. It just sounds like it. You said it sounded just like something he would do. I've been sent several of his videos. People are like, oh, this is hilarious, and sends me stuff.
Does this episode seem like a very argumentative episode already?
I don't know. Are we arguing?
I don't know.
I've been told I'm a very argumentative person.
I don't know. I think there's been arguments since the beginning of how we were introducing the the episode. So it seems like a more argumentative
Everybody's on
one.
the edge today.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am fine.
Stop being
Stop
stupid,
accusing
Jentry.
me.
Okay. That answered my question.
Okay.
All right.
So anyway, lock your doors. I don't know, rabbit trails and craziness. Okay.
I would
your
just like
doors.
to say I am impressed by his, mechanics, though. Like, what
Impressed. Impressed. I don't know that
I'm
would.
impressed and entertained. And I mean, if you're gonna buy a $500 truck for a YouTube video, the video probably made him more than what he made, like more than what he spent on the truck. So I'm just saying, if you can make that kind of money by making a truck that starts with a light switch, why not?
I don't know how much you get paid for a YouTube video that has millions of hits. Millions of views. We haven't made it there yet.
Right.
I don't know yet, but I hope we find out at some point in time.
Yeah.
So, can you actually make more than $500 on one YouTube video?
Well, I mean, all he really has to do is continue coming up with stupid things to put in his truck.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. All right.
That's what I was about to say. All right. So,
I think it might be time to move on.
Yeah.
so criminals are lazy. We covered that part.
Yes. Lock your
Okay.
doors.
Lock your doors.
Okay, that's the step number one. Don't leave your keys in a cup holder with your doors unlocked.
Steering wheel locks.
Okay. Gentry and I are old enough to remember, but I don't know if you are. The club. This was a very, very highly advertised
Very highly advertised.
thing back when we were probably teenagers.
They used to interrupt my Saturday morning cartoons with this, and it really got on my nerves because it was one of the commercials.
It's a steering wheel lock, and it keeps it from being
Stolen.
stolen.
That's the word.
Have you ever seen this?
No.
Okay.
I have
Okay,
not.
so we determined that she is not old enough to remember it.
Because believe me, if you were, you would remember.
Oh, yeah.
These things were all over the place.
I could have told you they were yellow, too, if,
Well, there was some like that that are red and
there
black.
were some red and black ones, but yellow was a very prominent color of them.
Yeah. So I'm going to do my best when
So
doing
what
this.
stopped them from being a big thing?
I don't know. Oh, they were huge. But what stopped them from continuing to be a big thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe people just realized they weren't locking their doors, and they could
I
start
was
locking
just-
their doors and not leaving their keys in their car, and it made it harder.
But the thing about it is, if you're listening to the podcast and you've never seen what a club is, it hooks into the steering wheel. Actually, let's do this for the fun of it. Let me find a good picture of it. Okay, I wish I could find it. Oh, no, there's a wide angle picture of it. Jada? Okay, here's the deal. For those that have never seen it and they're listening to the podcast, since you have never seen it, I want you to give a description of what this thing is.
Oh, joy. Okay. All right. So, like, on first glance, the, like, things with the lever that old people use to put on their socks, like the little claw stick things.
Good job doing that while he had coffee in his mouth. That was much
You're
appreciated, Jada.
I was waiting for the perfect moment to drop the punchline.
It's like, okay, move my mouth away from the microphone.
Hey, I mean, it also looks like
Just in
one of
case
those
it's
snake sticks, Like, when you're in the South and you're walking through the woods on a walk and you have to get a two-pronged stick just to have just in case there's a snake. Yeah. It kind of looks like a snake stick. But yeah, it's one of those. I think the claw that old people use to put on socks is a better description. I guess that was discriminatory. It's not just old people. Like, people who hurt their, like, ankle and stuff, or, like, hurt their back and can't bend down, like, need them too.
When my wife broke her pelvis in the wreck, she had to use one of those.
Yeah. Okay. So, older disabled people use to put on their socks. Or
I'll tell Julie you called her an old disabled
those
person.
things that, like, all
be
the kids
thrilled.
play with when they go. Yeah. Anyway, that is what I'm serious. That is what one of my cousins took whenever one of my grandparents died. Was they wanted their stick. Anyway. But
it
yeah,
the
it kind
memories?
of looks like one of those, and you just stick a prong on or through the steering wheel on one side, and then I don't know what's holding it to the other side, but
same
there's
thing.
also a place that
So
looks
it's-
like it's for a key in the middle.
Is this twice?
Oh,
So it's a hook there and a hook here. So it stretches across your steering wheel.
So it hooks in two places.
And it locks. And once it locks into position, you can't get it undone without the key.
Yeah. And other than that, it just looks like one of those sticking through your steering wheel with maybe a keyhole in the middle.
Yeah. And the bar extends on one side, and it keeps it from being turned too much because it's going to run into other things. So
I think it looks like a cattle prod.
now there are some that are longer as well that actually goes all the way to the floor to kind of make sure it can't be turned at all. Now, why this kind of fell out of popularity, I'm not really sure.
Interesting. I will say.
That's what it looks like, not on a steering wheel.
Oh, okay. I see now. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's the twin hook version. It's probably the nicer one, more expensive version.
Anyway.
Could also be a nice improvised weapon in the event that someone approaches your car.
As long as you've unlocked it. Well, anyway, next. What?
Just that. So you got to unlock it first and to get it out of the steering wheel, and then you can hit somebody with them.
when it's
Unless
away
you're
from
gonna slam their
it
face
kind
into
of
the
looks a
steering
little
wheel,
bit like
but,
a pogo stick.
See, that's the version I remember
Moving on.
more than anything.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we have never had a steering wheel lock or a steering wheel club.
No, I haven't either, but I've seen them a lot.
Whenever
growing
we
up.
first got married, like my husband had to get a new car about 5 days before we got married. So that was the one we were going to be taking to the honeymoon. And now I am not going to pretend I was not nervous when I saw the car that he wanted us to take, because we had a honeymoon in the mountains. And he bought a trashed out Honda Civic. And when I say trashed out, it wasn't like a beater box. It didn't look like one in any way. It had like a wide body kit and like carbon fiber hood and stuff. And so there's that little niche market that likes it. You know, that includes my husband. Anyway, it had a racing steering wheel.
I remember that.
And so his steering wheel could just pop off.
Were you hoping that it would get stolen?
No.
Okay.
Because we could not afford to just buy a new car without selling that one. It is probably my least favorite vehicle he has ever owned. And he had a Mazda that whenever you went over a bump, it would shake so much because the shocks were so shot that it would scrape the ground if there was more than one person in it.
I had a really good friend in high school. When we were in high school, we'd get down the road. Every time we hit a bump, it felt like we were in a boat.
Yeah, except instead of a boat, it was like...
It goes boom, boom, boom.
It was... Anyway, that was terrifying. Especially since his sister thought it was funny to jump up and down in the back seat. She is an adult, not a child, just so you know. So it was not adorable in any way. All right. But yeah, so that was probably my least favorite car he's ever owned. Not only that, but it was, I'm not going to say straight pipe because that's illegal, but it was straight piped. He's not the one who did it though. And it had no door panels. So picture really loud with no padding to stop you from getting the full force of the sound. And I suffer from headaches. And so it's not my favorite. This is turning a long story about me hating that car. That was not the point. But yeah, so his sister actually stole the steering wheel
I remember that
during
too.
our wedding ceremony, and we had to have our photographer go and get it back.
Because they were holding it up.
Yes, they showed that they had it, and I was really confused because he had not shown me by that point that the steering wheel popped off, so I just thought they were holding up a steering wheel, and
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's our steering wheel?
I was like, what in the world? And Cody's like, oh, they have it, and I was like, what do they have? He goes, my steering wheel. And I was like, did they buy you a new steering wheel for your car? And he's like, no, that's the one that came in my car. And I was like, why the heck do they have your steering wheel? And he's like, oh, they thought it was funny. Well, we had to go have our photographer go get it back. And she came back holding the steering wheel. She goes, they were mad at me. And I was like, they were mad at you? And she's like, yeah, for taking the steering wheel back. I was like, okay. And she was like, but they were Like, they were really mad at me. I'm like, that's fine.
Who do you want
she's
to be more mad at you
she's
right
like,
now?
but they were mad at me. I'm over here like, that's fine. They can be mad. Thank you.
That's cool. We need to leave.
She was a family friend, and so
We're not
she
gonna be
was
stuck
really
here at the venue.
concerned, like that I would be upset that she made them mad, and I was like, no, you can make them as mad as you want. I really don't care. But yeah, so basically, anytime we were in a sketchy night, his doors didn't lock. The door panels were gone, so the door locks were gone as well. And so yeah, his doors didn't lock, but he could take his steering wheel off. So anytime we were in a sketchy place, he could just throw his steering wheel in a backpack and take his steering wheel with him.
Well, at least that way people couldn't steal his car. So we're going to Walmart. It's kind of sketchy here.
It was kind of upsetting though, because like while we were out to dinner on our honeymoon, some things were stolen out of our car, but they quickly realized we had nothing of value in that car. And so all they stole was a jar of honey and a box of just the Lucky Charms marshmallows that we had gotten from my
So
wait.
had
Here's the
made
important.
sugar high.
You can get
Yes,
a
you
thing
can.
of just Lucky
Yes, you
Charms
can.
marshmallows.
You
Yes, you
can.
can.
It is a box of just the
Do you want
marshmallows.
some for Christmas? I'll get
Yes.
you some for Christmas.
You can get them at Cracker Barrel. We had a box because we saw them at Cracker Barrel on all of the 5 breakfast trips we made to Cracker Barrel on our honeymoon.
Big Lots also has them.
They have good breakfast. I will give you that.
Okay, that's
Okay.
cool.
They're cheaper at Big Lots.
So
nice.
rabbit trail like
Anyway, yeah.
crazy. So
Sorry.
let's move along.
But yeah, if you can't get a steering wheel lock, there are steering wheels that you can just pop off and take with you.
I'm a little worried for this episode.
I'm sorry. We should probably continue on to the real points. I have not been very good for staying on track today. At least I'm talking a little bit faster than I was early this morning when Brian had to listen to me try and, get out all of the stories that I had to tell him.
So this is the better part of the day for Jada.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. But I guess the next point is all locks can be defeated.
Yes. It doesn't matter what we do. Any lock can be defeated with a determined enough criminal. Mm-hmm. And you need to remember that too. Car alarms. Really fun story. I got a Jeep from my grandfather. I had never had a vehicle that had an alarm. The key that he had would start it, run it, and everything, but for some reason it would not it didn't have the right components to keep the alarm from going off. So when you lock the doors, when you drove to wherever you went and you got out and you locked the doors, when you unlocked it using the actual key, every time you opened the door, the alarm went off.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, we had to get
gosh.
new keys. But, I got it from my grandfather. It's fine. We had just got new keys made that had all the right components. And, of course, they would cost an arm and a leg to do. But getting used to it in a vehicle with an alarm and kind of like, what do you do? What do you not do? Julie learned at the gas station one day that if I get out of the vehicle, lock the doors, and walk in, she should never open the door because
Yes.
then the alarm goes off.
You should
I can picture her panicking.
Oh, she did.
There's a
and
lot
it
of
was
arm
quite
flailing.
hilarious.
I'm sure there was plenty of arm flailing.
Lots of mouthed words in your direction.
No,
We love Julie.
I'm inside the gas station.
I feel like we've
Picking-
made fun of Julie too much in this episode as well.
I was picking stuff up in the gas station, and all of a sudden I hear the alarm go off, and I went, because I knew exactly what it was. And I was in line to pay for my stuff, so it just had to kind of sit there for a minute, and then I walked out there, and the only way to you turn it and turn it on, just put
Right.
the key in the switch and turn it on, and she was like,
was
I do not
thorough.
like this
I
vehicle.
did not know that all you had to do to cut the alarm off was put the key in the ignition and turn it.
Yeah.
And my first vehicle with an alarm, I opened it and the alarm went off and it freaked me out so bad. I'm sitting there panicking like, I have no idea how to turn this off. They did not go over this in driver's ed. And I'm just sitting there like, what the heck do I do? My husband comes running outside. And I was like, what do I do? The alarm's going off. And I'm just sitting there panicking. Like, I have no idea what to do in this situation. I'm like pressing the unlock button.
Meanwhile, neighbors everywhere are waking up.
And he's just like, hand me the key. And he like snatches the key from me and turns the car on and it cuts off. And I was like, oh. And he's like, all you have to do is cut the car on. I was like, oh, thank you.
They are a great attention getter. But one thing that I've found is that we as a society have gotten used to hearing these car alarms a lot, and we don't look and pay attention as much as we used to.
No.
And, you know, it's almost assumed that it's an accident when the car alarm goes off.
Exactly.
Like,
you know, like back last year for our anniversary, Julie and I went to go to a Japanese restaurant because we love to go to Japanese restaurants. And as I was pulling, I dropped her off at the door and I was pulling around to get a parking spot. And as I was doing that, the car that was where I was pulling next to, just the alarm starts going off before I got to it. I don't know what caused it, but I pulled in next to it and I kind of glanced over because it's the vehicle next to me. My first thought was, well, I hope nobody thinks I tripped the alarm. But I wasn't like looking for somebody to break into the car. I wasn't looking for any of that. I didn't even cross my mind that much because it happens so much. And that's the downside to it. Now, is it a good deterrent? Yes. So I'm not saying don't have an alarm because, you know, still yet when there's attention gotten, that usually will help keep a criminal from continuing. Another thing would be like kill switches. Everybody just kind of looked at me. So a kill switch is something that you could, you may have, I actually read about some that were like, when you get in and crank it up, if you don't hit the kill switch or turn off the kill switch or whatever, it won't stay running.
Right.
I don't know anything about those. I do know that there's some that you have like a remote. It could be part of your like phone, something to do like an app on your phone or something that you can like cut it off at any point in any time. That's kind of pretty cool. Another thing would be like electronic tracking system in some way. You know, you want a locator on your car or something like that. You know, that's also a possibility. So there are just different things that you can do. The main thing is like everything else in our lives. Okay, for us personally, it is walk like you have confidence in your ability to take care of yourself and you are less likely to be targeted. Set your home up in such a way. We've had all these podcasts where we talked about that, where we set our home up in such a way where a criminal looks at it and goes like, okay, it's too well lit up. It's got security stickers on there. It's got this and this and this. Maybe I just don't want to choose that. And then you set your car up the same freaking way. Make it where a criminal looks at it and goes like, hey, maybe I should steal that. Oh, it's got an alarm. Oh, the doors are locked. Oh, you know, this. Okay, I think I'll just move on to an easier target of a vehicle. Yeah, kind of that's the big thing, big deal. So really quick, guys, sponsor of the podcast, us, ImpactDefense.online. Check us out. You're already listening to the podcast, head over to the website. Okay, on the website, you can find our free courses that we have available. You can find our podcast, obviously. You can find a lot of our YouTube videos are there, but it helps us out if you go over to YouTube and watch them over there. You can find our articles that are growing weekly. We've got so much information over there on our website to help people out. I would really appreciate it. You can also see when we have like upcoming events and different things like that. And you can also check out all the stuff that we have available at the shop at our website, ImpactDefense.online. So since there were so many rabbit trails, Jada, would you like to give a really quick synopsis of the things we talked about?
Yes. As always, criminals look for easy targets, so don't be one. They will want it quick and quiet. So don't be quick or quiet. Steering wheel locks. Steering wheel locks are a good idea, like the club or the that little claw thing.
That was the club.
Yep. Yes. All locks can be defeated. So remember, if you lock yourself out of your vehicle, locksmiths are a good idea as well. That was not mentioned in the podcast. Next, car alarms. They call attention to your vehicle, but remember, people may not always react because they hear them all the freaking time. Kill switches. They can be physical or mobile. Next are electronic tracking systems. Those can be a good idea. Anyway, that's all.
Okay. Go ahead, Jentry. You look like you were going to say something.
Nope. I was just going to say that is definitely the most interesting summary of our show that I've heard you do so far.
We're on a push for time.
All right.
Did she get into the cotton candy before we came down here?
No, she did not.
Okay.
I have not had any cotton
I
candy.
was just curious.
Did yesterday. But surely that wouldn't be.
I see some similarities to the other
I'm
cotton candy.
I'm
moments.
just really tired, but have also had a lot of caffeine. And that combination,
You're giddy now.
it's interesting.
Yes.
Well, a minute ago, you were making mouth noises into the microphone.
I was?
You were. I could hear them.
That's why I always stopped.
Yes.
That's not mouth noises. That's my jaw popping. I had no idea that was...
You were doing some other stuff too. I don't know if you know.
But you were also doing like that.
Yeah,
Stuff.
yeah, that's what you were doing. And that was not your
And
job.
we were both just staring at you. What is happening?
Yeah, you were doing that. All right, guys. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a laugh and also learned some stuff. Don't forget Blackout Coffee. Don't forget us. And thank you. And see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Goodbye.